Mother Nature didn't get the memo. Rain, wind, and fog has this spring night at Wrigley feeling more like a winter's eve at Soldier Field. It's on this blustery day in May that Fox Saturday Baseball presents a primetime special. The defending World Series champion San Francisco Giants and the homestanding Chicago Cubs. And with that, we welcome you inside the broadcast booth on a very chilly evening for baseball here at Wrigley Field. Matt Vasgersian, a primetime special, a Saturday night game here at Wrigley, something very rare. In fact, tonight's is the first regularly scheduled Saturday night game here since 1998. And as I welcome Eric Harrison to the telecast, Eric, let's start by talking about the defending World Series champs despite the loss yesterday. In first place again in the NL West, feeling very good about themselves after a sweep, a 6-0 homestand most recently.
Well, you know what was interesting about that 6-0 homestand? They won 5 games by 1 run. And in none of those games did they score more than 4. They're doing it again with pitching. They lead the National League in allowing the fewest home runs. They're leading in the strikeouts. They've been dominant. It was the recipe for a World Series championship last year. They hope it's the same this year.
Well, that wind is cutting right through our backs as we talk to you here, folks. It is really a cold day here at Wrigley. Let's talk about the Chicago Cubs. Not as consistent as a start as the Giants. Still, they're only 4 off the pace in the NL Central. And there are some things. Mid-May in Chicago, but apparently Mother Nature didn't get the memo. Rain, wind, and fog has this spring night at Wrigley feeling more like a winter's eve at Soldier Field. It's on this blustery day in May that Fox Saturday Baseball presents a primetime special. The defending World Series champion San Francisco Giants and the homestanding Chicago Cubs. And with that, we welcome you inside the broadcast booth on a very chilly evening for baseball here at Wrigley Field. Matt Vasgersian, a primetime special, a Saturday night game here at Wrigley, something very rare. In fact, tonight's is the first regularly scheduled Saturday night game here since 1998. And as I welcome Eric Harrison to the telecast, Eric, let's start by talking about the defending World Series champs despite the loss yesterday. In first place again in the NL West, feeling very good about themselves after a sweep, a 6-0 homestand most recently.
Well, you know what was interesting about that 6-0 homestand? They won 5 games by 1 run. And in none of those games did they score more than 4. They're doing it again with pitching. They lead the National League in allowing the fewest home runs. They're leading in the strikeouts. They've been dominant. It was the recipe for a World Series championship last year. They hope it's the same this year.
Well, that wind is cutting right through our backs as we talk to you here, folks. It is really a cold day here at Wrigley. Let's talk about the Chicago Cubs. Not as consistent as a start as the Giants. Still, they're only 4 off the pace in the NL Central. And there are some things to feel good about here for Cub fans.
Well, they have swung the bats well as a team. Haven't scored a lot of runs. In the centerpiece of the offense, shortstop Starlin Castro, one of the best young stars in the game.
All right, some of the best young stars in baseball on center stage on a windy, cold day at Wrigley Field. A Fox Saturday Baseball primetime special. Fear the beard and zip up your jacket. Lineups in the opening pitch are coming up next. you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Back inside Wrigley Field on a cold night for baseball with Eric Karros, Matt Vasgersian. Giants and Cubs getting ready to play under adverse conditions, I think you could say diplomatically. Eric, 46 degrees, feels like 39 with that wind whipping across your television screen, rain, and all kinds of fun for the Giants and Cubs on this May day. Underway tonight, Doug Davis's first pitch as a Chicago Cub. Misses up top, and we'll talk about Davis and his return to the big leagues in just a bit. Aaron Rowan starting things for the Giants tonight. Cubs won the series opener a day ago. Middle game of the 3-game set today. They'll wrap things up tomorrow. The Giants embarking on a 3-city trip. This is the beginning installment to that, as the 2-0 home to Aaron Rowan is fouled back. Well, we mentioned it just a moment ago, Eric. Doug Davis, the veteran left-hander, 35-year-old veteran, making his Chicago Cubs debut tonight.
Well, a crafty left-hander, doesn't have overpowering stuff, but moves the ball in and out, keeps guys off balance with a change of speeds, and really tries to finesse hitters.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Aaron Rowan. Let's take a look at the scouting report on the veteran left-hander.
Well, with today's weather, this really benefits Davis. He's a fly ball pitcher. It doesn't look like any of the balls are going to be jumping out of this ballpark. And run with it means that 4 and 5 spot in the rotation for the Cubs has really been a black hole. Doug Davis gets an opportunity to try and make his mark.
For Doug Davis, this is his first big league start in any uniform since July of last year. His return engagement with the Milwaukee Brewers. It was an abbreviated 2010 for Doug because of a variety of health issues. And here's the full count pitch to Aaron Rowan, a called strike 3. Let's take a look at the rest of the Giants' Taco Bell starting lineup tonight. Taco Bell, think outside the bunt. Sanchez, Huff, and Posey 2, 3, and 4 behind Aaron Rowan, who you just saw. Cody Ross is in right field, swinging the bat well, batting number 5. Pat Burrell makes his first start in the last 5 games. He's in left. Mark DeRosa working on and 0 for his last 11 is at third base, batting number 7. Miguel Tejada and Ryan Vogelsong rounded out for visiting San Francisco. So with 1 gone, that'll bring in the former National League batting champ and 3-time All-Star Freddie Sanchez, who himself is trying to get off the schneid, as they might say in the game of Jim Rummy. It's an 0 for 10 that Sanchez finds himself in to start play today. These guys will not be denied. And
hey, forget being covered. They're drinking beer too. That's what was impressive.
Here's the 2-0 home. Sanchez sends a ball to right. Well hit. Fukudome on the move, and it's off the ivy. Freddie Sanchez with a 1-out double here in the top of the first.
This is a pitch down, and Sanchez drives it to right field, and it just seemed to hit a jet stream and take off over Fukudome's head. Maybe the spot to hit it if you're hoping to get any kind of carry today in this weather.
I think even on a standard def TV screen, you can see what the elements are doing this afternoon. I mean, it's more than a light mist. It's rain and it's wind. And now it's Aubrey Huff with the runner in scoring position.
Well, you talk about the rain and the wind, but then you mix in the temperature, and that's a real kicker, because when you're down on the field and that cold hits your face or your hands, I mean, it's enough just to say, you know what, maybe I'll get in the dugout and catch tomorrow's game.
Buster Posey waiting on deck behind Aubrey Huff, and Davis is behind 2-0. It has been a really brutal start to the season here in Chicago. 12th home game this season with game time temperature at the 55-degree or lower mark. And there's a strike to make it 2 balls and a strike now to Sanchez. I'm sorry, to Aubrey Huff. I mean, you yourself, Eric, and this is going to be a storyline all night tonight, as a guy who used to come here as a visiting player and then spent the season as a Cub. you've got firsthand experience trying to play 9 innings in weather like this. It's 3-1 now to Huff.
You know, as a visitor, you'd hope you'd come in here in June, July, or August. You get that warm weather, wind blowing out. When you had that trip on the schedule in April or May, you're thinking, oh my goodness gracious, this is not going to be fun. And usually you'd come in here and it would be miserable conditions.
Full count to Aubrey Huff now, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Who's got the worst end of it on a day like today? Trying to swing the bat, or as the guy on the mound, is it more difficult?
No question for me, the guy swinging the bat, because you're cognizant of trying to hit the ball in the barrel of the bat. You hit it off the end of the bat, your hands are ringing.
And the payoff pitch home. A called strike 3. Couple of strikeouts for Doug Davis, both of them looking as we check the Cubs defensively. Soriano, Burton, Fukudome in the outfield. Blake DeWitt making just his 3rd start of the year. Starlin Castro, Darwin Barney, and Carlos Pena around the infield. And it's Coy Hill, in the absence of Giovanni Soto, catching Doug Davis tonight.
You know, getting back to who has the advantage, the difficulty for a pitcher in this weather is being able to grip the ball, to be able to spin it, whether that's a slider or a curveball. You know, as a hitter, you're looking for straight stuff.
There's Buster Posey now. Posey working on a modest 3-game hitting streak at the start of play tonight. Average down at 252, 4 home runs and 19 driven in. He has been productive in his sophomore season, but has not had the kind of runaway success he did last year. Not yet, at least. And it's a ball and a strike now to Buster Posey.
Well, one of the things about him having such an exceptional season last year, the expectations are he'll have at least that this year and hopefully better. But people have to understand what he did last year, it just doesn't happen. Come in, dominate the lineup, catch the pitching staff like he did, and win a world championship all in your first year.
And now Coy Hill and Doug Davis want to have a conversation. Give us a chance to post today's umpiring crew. DJ Rayburn calling balls and strikes. He's a minor league umpire who will go back to his AAA assignment after the weekend. Jerry Davis is the crew chief on this bunch. Sam Holbrook and Todd Tischner make out the rest of the crew.
Yeah, you know, you talk about the players, you know, the umpires, they don't get any relief. They're standing out there for the entire game, have to brave the elements. Can't go in and sit next to a heater.
.81 mile-an-hour strike offered to Buster Posey, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. And that's Doug Davis. He's a crafty left-hander. I know that's such a cliched term, but he's a cunny thumber. He's not going to break any radar velocities or panes of glass, for that matter.
Well, and you described it the best way. And it's not a cliche in that that's how he pitches. He's just going to nibble on the corners. He's going to have the hitter get themselves out. He won't get you out. You'll get yourself out.
Buster Posey lines a base hit into left. Freddie Sanchez will score. Posey on his way to second. Coy Hill had trouble getting out of the wet glove, and Posey's going to get all the way to third on the error. Sloppy track, among other elements that both the Giants and Cubs are going to have to worry about tonight, and it's already 1-0 San Francisco.
Posey has a nice at-bat, drives this ball into left field. And Sanchez is scoring all the way. You see Posey back in the box right there. The stride stays behind the ball. You know, right there, there's a physical error there, but really it's a mental error by Soriano. Has no business at all throwing that ball to the plate.
Here's Cody Ross now. 1-0 Giants early on, and that's something that we talked about with Cubs manager Mike Quade tonight before the game. The fact that on paper, defensively, the Cubs look pretty good at first glance. Well, but it feels like there's some room for improvement.
Yeah, they've played well in their last 2 weeks or so. statistically you're looking at 1 or 2 errors and you say, oh boy, what great defense. But that right there should count as a double error or something, because mentally Soriano's just got to get that ball into second base, keep Posey at first base. Now you've got Posey in scoring position, the threat of being down 2-0.
On the ground at third and through Blake DeWitt. Castro's there behind him to clean him up and retire the side. Giants on the board in the first to the home half. 1-0 San Francisco. Time to take a look at tonight's Taco Bell starting lineup for the Cubs. Taco Bell, think outside the bun. Kosuke Fukudome leads off in right field. Darwin Varney and Starlin Castro, that outstanding young middle infield combination, bats 2 and 3. Carlos Pena, Marlon Byrd, and Alfonso Soriano 4 through 6. Marlon Byrd trying to extend a hitting streak to 15 games. Blake DeWitt making just his third start of the year, bats number 7. The switch hitting catcher Coy Hill 8. And then Doug Davis rounds things out for Chicago. And on the mound to make his 4th start of the season, one of the real feel-good stories around the Giants in 2011, veteran right-hander Ryan Vogelsong. Fukudome, Barney, and Castro start things for Chicago. Ryan Vogelsong, as we mentioned, making his 4th start of the season, his 6th appearance. Last time around Sunday on Mother's Day, he was on the mound to finish off the 6-0 homestand sweep. And it was a terrific afternoon for Ryan. He went into the 7th inning, did not allow a run. In fact, yielded 1 hit all afternoon.
And he's got to carry that over today. He's got to pick up where he left off on Sunday and continue that dominance out on the mound. When I say grind it out, he's a guy that doesn't have a great pitch. He's going to nibble on the corners. He's got a little fastball, slider, little curveball. He's a guy that learned how to pitch when he was in Japan. That's what he has to apply today to these Cubs.
2 balls and a strike to count to Kosuke Fukudome, the 2008 All-Star. Trying to start the process of getting that early run back, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes now from Vogelsong. Vogelsong and Posey taking a moment to get on the same page, and here's the 2-2 home. A called strike 3. Let's take a look at the defense behind Ryan Vogelsong this afternoon. Mark DeRosa gets a rare start at third. First, the outfield. Burrow, Rowand, and Ross. There's DeRosa playing third base. It's Miguel Tejada, Freddie Sanchez, and Aubrey Huff around the infield. And again, Buster Posey back behind the plate. Bruce Bochy's used a cachet of players at third in the absence of the Kung Fu Panda. Pablo Sandoval on the disabled list with a broken bone in his wrist. They're hoping to have him back in the next 4 to 6 weeks, as Darwin Barney stands in now with one gone. Barney yesterday in the series opening victory for the Cubs, 3 for 5 with a career high 3 runs batted in.
Well, he's a real nice part of that middle of that defense. Castro and Barney. Barney swinging the bat well. And this is a guy that they didn't think would have the job in spring training. Almost an overachiever, a guy that won't be outworked, and just thrust himself into the lineup and run with the job.
Ballman 2 strikes to him here. You know, a little bit more on Ryan Vogelsong, and on a staff, Eric, that commands so much national attention. Lincecum, Kane, Sanchez, and Brian Wilson at the back of the bullpen. Vogelsong occupies a very important turn in the rotation. And it's been quite a journey for him to get back to the Giants. Drafted by San Francisco as a 5th rounder in 1998. He pitched around in 4 different big league organizations. Went to Japan for 3 years. Overcame Bell's palsy, Tommy John surgery, and is finally back on a big league mound with the team that drafted him back in '98. That gets into the seats with some hair on it. Look out. Boy, you come to the ballpark on a day like today and you're worried about just staying dry and warm, and one of those gets into your lap.
It's going to leave a mark. That's enough to take it to the car, the L train, and shut it down. Catch the rest of the game on the tube.
Here's a 1-2 to Barney, and it's 2-2 now.
No, Vogelsong not having trouble with that breaking pitch. I thought it would be difficult to grip in this weather, and he's thrown that curveball a few times. Pretty good break on it.
Starlin Castro waiting next. 1 gone, base is empty. Home half of the first, and the 2-2 home. Well, the Giants, as we mentioned, back atop the post in the National League West. For the Cubs, they're now chasing the Cincinnati Reds, who were winners earlier today against St. Louis. A 7-3 victory for Cincinnati. You know, Mike Quade has positioned his team to where they are a part of the conversation. Perhaps not among the favorites in the division, but you certainly can't look past Chicago. It's just way too early in the season to offer that.
Well, it is, and considering all the things where they feel they can improve, the fact that they're only 3 out in the loss column, and they've got to be ecstatic. You know, we had the conversation coming over today where, you know, if you take the top 3 starters pitching wise and the closer from each of the teams in the Central Division, you know, the Cardinals and the Reds and Milwaukee, and the Cubs match up with anybody. And the Cubs are as good as anybody with the 3 starters and the closer, and that's really the core of your success.
Barney punches a base hit into right. But what a nice plate appearance that was. And part of the reason the Cubs are so excited about Darwin Barney's emergence.
We talk about the at-bat, fouling pitches off, and as a hitter, when you do that, that makes the pitcher throw more pitches, than a greater chance for him to leave one over the middle of the plate, to make a mistake. Barney gets one and shoots it to right. There's that persistence that allowed him to win the job and be successful this early part of the season.
Starlin Castro now again trying to pick up a modest 4-game hitting streak. Had a big night yesterday, 3 for 5 with 2 runs batted in. Oh ho hum, just another 3-hit afternoon for a guy that's played in fewer than 200 games in his young major league career. Castro and Barney make up the top hitting middle infield combination in the National League. So Vogelsong out of the stretch early, and Castro has a base hit to left.
We talked about it at the top of the show, Castro being one of the best young players in the game. This fastball just over the inner half of the plate. Castro doesn't waste any time, jumps on it. You know, and that hasn't been the problem with this Cubs offense. It hasn't been the top. It hasn't been Castro or Barney. They've been getting on. The problem is that 3, 4, and 5, the middle of the lineup, the 4 or 5 guys just really struggled in driving runners home. And Carlos Pena, he gets an opportunity right here.
Pena trying to snap out of an 0 for his last 7. And with the average down at just 212, as you saw a moment ago at the start of play tonight. Here's some of the numbers that Eric talked about. The numbers with runners in scoring position have gotten a little better recently, but they were among the biggest troubles for this club back in April. Hitting .238 overall with runners in scoring position, and that ranks him around the middle of the pack in the big leagues and near the bottom of the pack in the senior circuit. 0-1 to Carlos Pena. Pena's power has started to come around of late, but it took him a long time to get his first home run on the board. And to be quite honest, this is what the Cubs are paying him to do.
Well, but I will say this. He's doing it and having to play in this type of weather. In April and May, as an offensive player for the Cubs, if you can get through those first 2 months just above water, that's a big accomplishment. Because, again, these conditions are not conducive to going out and putting up especially power numbers, home run numbers. And I know Soriano's run into a few this year, but when things start getting warm here and the wind blows out, that's when you want to bring your bat to the park.
Barney and Castro aboard with 1 gone. Cubs trying to get that early run back early. We're only in the bottom of the first tonight. Well, one of the virtues that Carlos Pena has brought is an extremely refined eye. He's always been very good getting on base. Let's take a look at the drop-off between Alfonso Soriano and the rest of the team in terms of home runs. And you should know also that the Cubs have not left the ballpark, have not hit a home run since last Saturday. And a full count now, 3-2 to Pena.
Well, they are second in the National League in hitting, but their ability to drive the ball, extra base hits, home runs has really been an Achilles heel. You know, that's probably when you compare them to the other teams in the Central offensively. You know, the Reds, they have Pujols and Holiday. Excuse me, the Cardinals, Pujols and Holiday, the Reds, Votto. You know, guys that are feared. And the Cubs just, they don't have that presence yet.
And there is ball 4 to Carlos Pena. That's his team leading 22nd walk of the year, and he loads the bases. The Giants manager Bruce Bochy has liked what he's seen so far out of Ryan Vogelsong in his 3 starts. Off to a tougher start here tonight. Already his 5th season as San Francisco manager. The all-time winningest San Diego Padre manager in franchise history. Moved north 5 years ago. And again, of course, coming off the terrific 2010. All right, so they're loaded now for Marlon Byrd. He's hit safely in 14 straight. Vogelsong's first pitch is in for a strike. Marlon Byrd with 6 career grand slams. Jam shot. And the Giants fail to turn the double play. Castro just able to get back in time before the toss from Miguel Tejada, not before Bruce Bochy wants to have a word with the second base umpire, Sam Holbrook. Oh, my. I think the Cubs caught a break there, EK.
Yeah, they did catch a break. And really, the error on that was Castro not going back head first. You got to go back in there, slide. And he sees he goes back standing up. Doesn't hit the bag cleanly. And see, Sanchez has his foot on the right field side of the bag. Yeah, he just beats him. But if Castro goes back head first, he's not slowing down on the way getting to the bag. That's the problem when you go feet first. That's why you slide.
So now Alfonso Soriano, the Cubs' leading home run threat. 7-time All-Star, has gone deep 11 times this year, among major league leaders. See if the Cubs can take advantage of a second life here. You know, go figure. You get to the ballpark on a day like today. The wind's blowing in. It just smells like one of those days that's going to be 3-1, 2-0. And there have already been plenty of scoring opportunities in not even a complete inning tonight.
Well, much like yesterday, Mike Quade thinking it was going to be a 1 or 2 run game. It ends up being 11-4.
Soriano lifts a high fly ball, slicing in foul territory. Ross gives it a look, and it's well into the seats.
That's a funny thing about that is you have all 3 fielders running over thinking that they may have a play on that ball, and that ball lands a good 25 yards deep in the stands. You watch second baseman, first baseman, right field, they're all converging, but because of the wind, I mean, look at how far. This isn't even close.
Not fit for man nor beast. 2 balls and a strike to Soriano. Blake DeWitt waiting next for Chicago. Been a long inning for Ryan Vogelsong. This will be his 30th pitch here in this opening frame. And his 2-1 home is fouled back to the screen. For Alfonso Soriano, we mentioned the 11 home runs. 10 of them came in the month of April. And that set a new Cubs all-time record. Just for comparison's sake, last year, his 11th home run of the season didn't come until the end of June. And here we are on May 14th. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, the home runs are nice. As you mentioned, 11 home runs, but only 23 RBIs. And I'm sure Mike Quade and the rest of the Cub organization would like to see more production in that RBI department. Cut down on the swing, make contact, have more disciplined at-bats.
And it is a little unusual as Vogelsong goes full now, 3-2 to Soriano. It is a little unusual to see a team's leading home run hitter batting in the 6th hole. But in a topic that we'll maybe get into a little bit later on, Mike Quade's still looking for the right formula. He doesn't have the 27 Yankees where he can line them up 1 through 9 and say, go get them. Well, the Cubs are a work in progress every day. Fans trying to generate a little enthusiasm behind Soriano. Bases loaded, full count. Chicago trying to counter the Giants' first score. And the payoff home is swung on and missed. in and out of trouble in a long inning was Ryan Vogelsong. Presented by Lowe's is sponsored by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And by Sprint. All together now. Well, an inning in the books. 1-0 San Francisco as we take a look at tonight's 4 keys to the game.
More than 4 for the Giants. They've gone 9 straight games where they've scored 4 runs or less. Now, granted, they've had a great record, 8-2, but that continues to put pressure on that pitching staff. Give them a little room to breathe. The Cubs, we saw last inning, you've got to get them in, and that's what they didn't do in the first inning. It's been typical of their season up to this point. Unable to hit with runners in scoring position.
Pat Burrell, Mark DeRosa, and Miguel Tejada here in the San Francisco second as Doug Davis is back to work. Pat Burrell takes a strike. Pat the Bat has not had a chance to swing the bat much in his last week or so. In fact, making his first start in his last 5 games, as we talked about when we ran down that lineup. And talking to Bruce Bochy before the game today, he said that Pat Burrell told him after Bochy gets a look at what he does today, he's not going to be able to sit him down for the rest of the year. I think pretty sure that that exchange came with a smile on both faces. Pat takes a strike there. It looked like he almost wanted to take time.
Yeah, I think he got some rain in his eyes. You know, if you want time as a hitter, you just got to start screaming as loud as you can. Almost be belligerent so the umpire recognizes that you want timeout. You know, it's funny because you always see hitters just put up their hand, and then sometimes the umpire doesn't give them time. But if you're up there screaming like a crazy person, boom, they'll give it to you. I mean, that's what I used to do, and it works. Might start screaming up here in a second, Matt.
Yeah, there's no point trying to be too cool, right? Guys try to be all style master and put the hand up. As Burrell is caught looking, that's 3 punch outs for Davis, all of them looking. Well, Doug Davis making his Cubs debut today. Cub fans are familiar with his work. He had 19 career starts against Chicago, and the biggest one came in the 2007 National League Division Series. Davis was the winning pitcher, pitched into the 6th inning and struck out 8, including getting Alfonso Soriano 3 times. It was his first and only career postseason win. Diamondbacks went on to sweep the Cubs in 3 games. There's Mark DeRosa now, also getting a spot start this afternoon, this evening, if you will, 0 for his last 11.
Well, with Sandoval down, I think Bruce Bochy's going to give DeRosa some opportunities at third base. I mean, for me, coming into this year, a healthy DeRosa, I thought would significantly help this Giant ball club.
On a hop for Starlin Castro, who throws him out for out number 2. Hey, next week, Fox Saturday Baseball is back in prime time as interleague play gets into full swing when these Cubs take on the Red Sox in a historic series at Fenway Park, or the Giants play host to the Oakland A's. Some will see the Mets and Yankees, or the Rangers take on the Phillies. Next week's telecast of Fox Saturday Baseball in prime time, presented by Lowe's, begins at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Check the local listings for the game and start time in your area. Cubs, Red Sox at Fenway. That's going to be a lot of fun.
That will
be.
Yes, sir.
2 gone now for Miguel Tejada. Former American League MVP in his days with the Oakland A's. Giants Cross Bay rivals that they're preparing for next week. Tejada also off to a slow start in May. 0 for his last 8. A nice play by Blake DeWitt. And a 1-2-3 second for Doug Davis. Today's game presented by Lowe's is sponsored by Bud Light Lime. Just the right taste of Bud Light with a refreshing splash of 100% natural lime flavor. Or national lime flavor. You ever had the national limes? Great. Back at Wrigley Field on a cold, damp night for baseball with Eric Karros, Matt Vasgersian, 1-0 San Francisco as the Cubs send DeWitt, Hill, and Davis to the plate against Ryan Vogelsong. Giants got on the board in the first on an RBI single by Buster Posey. 1-0 San Francisco. Blake DeWitt, the ex-Dodger, again making just his 3rd start of the year. And we should point out the absence of Aramis Ramirez, as DeWitt sends a high fly ball out to right. Cody Ross looking right into the rain. More on Aramis Ramirez as we continue, but for now let's send it back to Chris Rose and Mitch Williams in our Los Angeles studios for a DirecTV game break. Cincinnati Reds back on top of the pack in the National League Central. They take a half-game advantage over the Cardinals. But Johnny Cueto throwing the ball well since being reactivated coming off the DL. So with one gone now, here's Coy Hill, the switch hitting catcher in from the left side of the plate. He's driven in 4 runs in his last 4 games. Bases empty and 1 away for him. So back to Aramis Ramirez, not with the team. He had a personal family matter that he was cleared to attend and is traveling back today as Hill can't hold on. 2 gone. Two gone for Doug Davis now. The shame of not having Ramirez available for today, and Mike Quade pointed this out to us before the game, is that he has some pretty good career numbers against Ryan Vogelsong. It's a guy that he wanted to have in the lineup.
Well, he's also telling us that he's really the only guy that's got a set spot in the lineup. You pencil him in that 4 spot, and then you fit in guys around him. Proven run producer for many years.
1 ball and 1 strike to count to Doug Davis. It's really the only thing I think that Mike Quade knows what he's going to do when he gets to the ballpark. He's going to write the pitcher down number 9. He's going to put Ramirez in there 4th, and the rest of it is a work in progress, as we've mentioned. The Cubs have used 31 lineups in their 38 games this year, and it's the subject of much discussion here by the media.
Yeah, but you know, and people can get on Mike Quade, but the reality is the players make the lineup. By the way you go out and produce, the way you play day in and day out, you make the manager's decisions for him. And because of the inconsistencies, that's led to Mike Quade, you know, trying to fill out crossword puzzles and fielding a lineup.
Yeah, he went through his kind of modus operandi with us, his methodology, if you will. He gets to the ballpark early. He's one of those clubhouse rats that's here in the morning and writes down what he wants defensively, and then he fills out his lineup card. So as a result, the lineup is posted very early here at Wrigley Field, much earlier than when Lou Piniella was managing. So it gives the writers a chance to look at it, ask him a bunch of questions about it, and then micro scrutinize it every day. A swing and a miss, if you can call it that. Doug Davis fighting for his life out there. Still 1-0 San Francisco. Welcome back to Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Lowe's. Let's build something together. 1-0 Giants as San Francisco bats here in the third. They'll send Ryan Vogelsong to the plate, followed by the top of the order, Aaron Rowand and Freddie Sanchez. Giants got their run on a 2-out RBI single by Buster Posey in the first. And though the Cubs have had opportunities, so far Ryan Vogelsong has kept Chicago off the scoreboard. Nothing in 1 to Vogelsong. You know, Eric, we talked about Ryan Vogelsong coming back off some physical adversity to make it back to the big leagues. Bell's palsy, Tommy John surgery. You could really call this a matchup of two veteran starters who have both overcome a lot physically to get back onto the mound. Two balls and a strike to count to Vogelsong. And in the case of Doug Davis, last year was virtually lost with elbow trouble, and he had off-season surgery on the left elbow. But he's had some much more serious issues in his past as well. And Vogelsong is aboard on a solid single to lead off the inning. Let's send it back to Chris Rose and Mitch Williams in Los Angeles for a DirecTV game break. All right, guys, thanks. Yeah, huge for Brad Hopp, not only because he needed to get it going, but how nice does it feel when you come back and beat your old employer like that?
Yeah, they let him go after having some successful years in Colorado. And as Mitch mentioned, he just needed to get something going to keep himself able to put up a uniform in San Diego.
Aaron Rowand sends an 0-1 pitch into the right center field gap. Vogelsong being held at third, and the Giants are in business. Runners at second and third and nobody out.
Well, Aaron Rowand doing his damage against left-handed pitching this year, hitting at a 406 clip coming into tonight. Up and in, he kind of keeps his hands inside and drives it out to right center. And we saw earlier, you know, that ball Sanchez hit over Fukudomi's head seems to be carrying to right field. Fukudomi chases it down. Vogelsong doing his best to get to third, but with nobody out. Tim Flannery not wanting to force the issue.
So Freddie Sanchez now will have a chance with two runners in scoring position. Again, nobody out here to start the inning. Sanchez doubled and scored back in the first. We were talking about the physical adversity that Doug Davis has overcome and before the base hits, but just to finish the thought, in addition to the elbow surgery, a much more serious problem last year put him on the disabled list. And I'm not a physician, so I know I'm going to mispronounce this. Feel free to jump in and save me. It's called pericarditis, and it's an inflamed lining around the heart that set him back last year before the elbow trouble. And then going back to April of 2008, Doug had to overcome thyroid cancer. So he really has endured a lot. A great one-hop play by Blake DeWitt. Throws a bit offline, but Pena does a nice job on the receiving end, and that's a big first out here in the third for Doug Davis.
Well, DeWitt does a nice job of shuffling over and then getting the glove down. Ball finds his glove, checks the runner, and makes a throw over to first base. You know, DeWitt came to camp hoping to win that second base job, but a fine utility guy that can play anywhere in the field.
Here's Aubrey Huff now with runners at second and third.
DeWitt's already made a couple of pretty good plays out there at third base. Again, keeping that chair warm for Aramis Ramirez. Swing and a miss by Huff. Aubrey Huff called out on strikes in the first. I think there's an element, Eric, and you faced Doug Davis. There's an element to his game that almost lulls a hitter to sleep.
Well, it's just the time he takes in between pitches. And he's out there, he's staring in, you're waiting, you're waiting, you're waiting. And just when you think you're going to call timeout, he starts his windup. Like, what the heck, I'll stay in here. But you can't get into a real rhythm because it doesn't appear that Davis ever gets into any type of rhythm. And while that helps him as a pitcher, sometimes it's tough on his defense because defensively you're out there standing around, and DeWitt's made some nice plays, and the Cubs have done a nice job so far, but it'll be interesting to see if he's still around in the next few innings.
Huff sends a fly ball out to shallow center. Castro back there from shortstop, and runners have to hold. Aubrey Huff now just 3 for his last 25 with runners in scoring position. Well, Doug Davis 1 out away from pitching out quite a fix. Buster Posey got to him on a 2-out RBI single in the first. As you look at Davis's numbers through 45 pitches, and there's no hard limit on him, but again, Davis making his big league debut this year. And Mike Quaddy told us they'll keep an eye on him around 80 or 85 pitches today, depending on the situation. (1-0) to Buster Posey. 2 balls and no strikes now. In addition to Doug Davis coming off of the elbow surgery and making a handful of starts at the minor league level this year, he's working on short rest today. His last AAA assignment was on May 10th, and they got him out of there after 4 innings because they knew he was coming up. Posey slices that one into the seats.
And remember, he's not up here because he was dominating down there or really wowing anybody in the minor leagues. The reality is, up here at the big league level, the Cubs just have not been able to get any production in that 4 and 5 spot. Coleman and Russell had opportunities to start, but they just have not been able to click.
Three balls and a strike down to Buster Posey. Yeah, the Cubs very much miss Randy Wells and his effective sinker ball. They miss young Andrew Cashner. The starter's ERA is alarmingly high in the mid-5s, and it's really the 4 and 5 spots, Eric, to your point, that have been most guilty. Here's Davis's 3-1, and he loses Posey on ball 4. First walk of the ball game issued by Davis, and it loads the bases now for Cody Ross. Cody Ross has hit safely in 5 straight. The 2010 NLCS MVP had a nice afternoon yesterday, one that included a home run, just his 2nd of the year. One of the few highlights in a Giant loss yesterday in the opener. A ball and no strikes to Cody Ross.
See Ross, nice numbers with the bases loaded this year, hitting about 370 with runners in scoring position.
Puts it in play, back to the mound. It's Hill that gets it from catcher and throws it away. Boy, that ball had trouble written all over it.
Well, it really did. And, you know, Hill made an early call. And when I say that, that ball got out there pretty good. You see, he's calling. And he's got to get out there, make the turn, find the target. I'm not so sure Davis wouldn't have had an easier play. The catcher, he takes precedent here. You see, doesn't get a good grip. That's the issue right there.
No RBI on the play for Ross as it scored as an error to the catcher. And now Pat Burrell rolls over a ground ball. Another bad throw and another run scores. 3-0 San Francisco. A pair of run-scoring 2-out errors.
Well, we talk about the weather today, and I think right there, Blake DeWitt unable to grip the ball. Pena doing a nice job of just picking that ball. See, Blake DeWitt unable to get a grip on the ball. And we talk about it being chilly and the conditions not being conducive to playing baseball. But sometimes a lot of it doesn't impact the game. But I think these last two plays, weather absolutely has impacted this game.
Reloaded for Mark DeRosa, who sends a one-hopper to Darwin Barney. And the Cubs finally execute to retire the side, not before 2 unearned runs can cross against Doug Davis. Starlin Castro bats third as we go to the bottom of the third. 3-0 Cubs Giants. Well, Mother Nature playing tricks on the Chicago Cubs, certainly, and as a couple of weather-induced errors, I suppose, have led to a couple of unearned runs, making it 3-0 San Francisco, and it's only getting uglier the deeper we wear on tonight. Welcome back to a cold, windy Wrigley Field in Chicago with Eric Karros, Matt Vasgersian. At least one fan still enthusiastic out there despite the weather. Top of the order for the Cubs as Kosuke Fukudome leads things off. 39 degrees is the more accurate number there, and the rain and wind really making things tough in the infield as Fukudome is even at 1-1.
You know, this is the inning, though. If the Cubs are going to have any kind of opportunity, this is their best chance. The reason I say that, Vogelsong, the pitcher, was out on the bases for a good part of the inning. You got the top of the lineup, the Cubs, second time around.
Ball into 2 strikes now to Kosuke Fukudome.
Fukudome can take some pitches. You see the group out there trying to stay dry. Very patient. That's why they've got him atop the lineup.
And a swing and a miss. 5 strikeouts for Ryan Vogelsong. Hey, 2 fans are watching every game during the season and sharing their experiences with fans throughout their entire season-long adventure. Check out what's going on at MLBFanCave.com. Follow at MLBFanCave on Twitter and like the Fan Cave on Facebook. I was down there this week myself. David Ortiz was down there. Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith this week. It's like a who's who of current and former big league stars in Greenwich Village in New York City. It's a lot of fun. Check it out. There's Darwin Barney now with 1 out and the bases empty. Barney singled in the first.
Matt, if you got stuff dripping from your nose, does that mean it's cold up here?
Do I have stuff dripping from my nose? There's a base hit into center field for Darwin Barney. Well, so the second time tonight that Starlin Castro will hit with a runner in front of him. And when you talk about the great start he's off to, it compares with some notable Hall of Fame talent. But Robin Yount, just a 19-year-old when he had 150 hits his rookie campaign. Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, and Starlin Castro, 191 hits through his first 161 career games. Boy, that's more than any one of those Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers on a very distinguished group.
Jim Tracy, the manager of the Rockies, said that Castro reminded him of Vladimir Guerrero. And in the likes that Vladimir would swing at a lot of pitches outside the strike zone, but he has the ability to put the barrel of the bat on the ball. And that's what Castro does.
One ball and 1 strike. Something that the Cubs are most pleased with regarding his development is what's happening on the other side of the scorecard as well. He's had some notably tough days in the field in his brief year plus in the big leagues. Had a 3-error game back on the 25th of April. But since that time has gone 14+ games without a defensive miscue.
Well, Mike Quade crediting second baseman Darwin Barney with that maturity, that level of involvement that Castro has shown. You know, Barney, the way he goes out and approaches the game day in and day out, it's rubbed off on Castro. You know, Castro's got all the physical tools. It's just a matter of gaining experience and being a bit more disciplined.
2 balls and a strike to count to Starlin Castro, and a bouncing ball up the middle through Tejada and on into center field. It's going to be tough to blame that one on Mother Nature. Runners at the corners.
This ball just hit up the middle. Tejada, I think, already trying to make the play to second base. You see, just doesn't get down. You know, that's one of the concerns with this giant ball club, is they catch the ball if it's hit to them. And that's not the real issue, but they don't have a lot of team speed. Defensively, they're not quick. And again, it's just something else that puts pressure on their pitching staff.
And somewhere at this hour back in the Bay Area, there's a blogger or series of bloggers sounding the alarm for Jose Reyes. 5th error charged to Miguel Tejada this year. Carlos Pena now with runners at the corners and 1 gone. Pena drew a base on balls in the first. Cubs loaded the bases against Ryan Vogelsong that frame, but were unable to crack through. You know, Brian Sabean came out and kind of spoke to that rumor, the whole Jose Reyes to the Giants thing that started a couple of weeks ago, and said there's been no discussion at all between Sandy Alderson and I in that regard. But the more you kind of scratch at that thing, And there are other teams that certainly would be interested should the Mets put Jose Reyes on the block. What a terrific fit that would be in San Francisco. It's everything the Giants need, and that's not to take a shot at Miguel Tejada.
Well, it fills a number of voids. I mean, obviously defensively and then atop the lineup. I mean, Andres Torres, the center fielder, does a very nice job. But if you could put a player the caliber of Reyes up there, I mean, it makes that whole offense more dynamic.
It's going to be very interesting come trading deadline time at the end of July to see what the Mets do and in turn what teams like the Giants and Cubs have to do. Pena sprays a one-hopper to Tejada, who turns it into a 6-3 double play. Again, the Cubs threaten but can't push across a score. Today's game presented by Lowe's is sponsored by the new 2011 Jeep Grand Cherokee and by ExxonMobil, taking on the world's toughest energy challenges.
Well, Tejada, this is what you can't teach: experience. Misplayed a ball prior to this, and then a hard shot hit up the middle, gloves it, turns the double play. Enough talk of Jose Reyes and coming on over to the Giants.
It is Miguel Tejada to lead things off in the visitors' half of the fourth. Tejada, Vogelsong, and Rowan. 3-0 San Francisco. An RBI single by Buster Posey, coming with 2 out in the first. And then a pair of errors, leading to 2 more Giant scores in the third. Under what we're assuming will be better conditions tomorrow. A terrific pitching matchup to wrap up this series, as Tim Lincecum draws Carlos Zambrano tomorrow afternoon here at Wrigley. And I know it's early, but those are a couple of guys that are pitching like Cy Young contenders in 2011. Zambrano in particular, ever since being reinstated last year, has really been terrific. Davis's 3-0 is in for a strike, and it's 3 balls and a strike to Miguel Tejada.
You talk about Zambrano. He's performed like they had hoped when they gave him that multi-year deal a few years ago. Has his emotions in check and been great.
Full count now, 3-2. Miguel Tejada trying to break out of an 0 for 9. Pitcher due up next. A full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Bases empty here in the 4th. And a fly ball slicing into shallow right. Fukudome's out there. Wow, what a fine catch after a stumble by Darwin Barney.
Well, that's a heck of a catch. And as we've seen, balls hit over to that side have drifted towards the stands. This ball wasn't hit high enough to get caught up in that wind. Barney sticks with it. You see him stumble a little bit right here, loses his footing, but doesn't take his eye off the ball. Makes a tremendous catch.
His plant foot skidded on him a little bit, and then it was dicey getting to the baseball. But as you mentioned, Barney sticks with the play. A fine job, and there's one away. Here's Vogelsong now, who started the 2-run rally with a base hit back in the 3rd. Yeah, we've seen him just for now 2 plate appearances, but I think you could draw the conclusion that Ryan Vogelsong has kind of an idea up there at the plate.
Yeah, he's not getting cheated up there at all. You know, that at bat he had last inning. You figure the pitcher's up, he's leading off the inning. If you're Doug Davis, you're going to get him out quick. 1 out, you go to the top of the lineup. But that base hit really set the table for the opportunities the Giants would cash in on.
It's a lifetime 200 hitter is Ryan Vogelsong. You know, we've already seen the weather play such a role in this ball game tonight. And we asked Cubs manager Mike Quade, without making excuses, Mike's not that kind of guy, to talk about the conditions and what they've done to the game.
No, it's sloppy, and I mean, I've seen Miggy play for years, and Blake. I mean, it's it's just tough for Corey to get out from behind here, and you try and throw a greased pig. I mean, it's tough, and we'll get through it, and you just never know what might happen in a game like this to determine the winner. So just got to keep playing.
Mike, talk a little bit about your young players up the middle, Barney and Castro, and what they've meant to this club.
Yeah, they've meant a bunch, and if you can read numbers, you know that. And if you watched them here in the first few innings, even in this mess, they've played pretty well. So, you'd like to have people from within your organization kind of be the core group that are going to take you to the promised land, and these are 2 kids that have a chance to do it.
Mike, thanks for the time. Best of luck the rest of the way.
All right, guys, stay warm.
Mike Quade's about as direct and to the point as they get in this or any other business.
Now, you ask him a question, he'll give you a straight answer. He's not trying to sugarcoat anything, not trying to be politically correct, and just tell you like it is.
0-2 the count to Aaron Rowand. Doug Davis looking for his second 1-2-3 inning tonight. There's that young middle infield combination. Cub fans have been looking for a duo to hang their cap on ever since the Dunston and Sandberg days here at Wrigley Field. Certainly been a lot of talented players come through here in the interim, but this is a young homegrown group that fans are excited about. A swing and a miss, couple of strikeouts in a 1-2-3 fourth for Doug Davis. Still 3-0 Giants. 3-0 San Francisco. And that guy just did not come with the right umbrella today, did he? Little tiny umbrella that he took out of his wife's car tonight. Doing his best to hang with him today. Man, it's the kind of day, actually, that if this were a Giants game decades earlier, Marlon Byrd leading things off here in the home fourth. Remember those quad to candlestick buttons? Giants used to give out these little buttons to fans that would stay for extra innings games back in the candlestick days when things were so cold and miserable at the City by the Bay.
Didn't you have that mascot too, the crab? Crazy crab?
Man. It's a broken bat. One hopper for DeRosa. And Marlon Byrd, who runs well, is able to beat it out. Well, Ryan Vogelsong pitching with a 3-0 lead in the middle innings. We had a chance to ask Giants manager Bruce Bochy between innings if he and the Giants were at all surprised about the success he's had early on.
Now, I saw him this spring throw so well. He really pitched well enough to make our club. We just didn't have a spot for him. He's a great story. Came in and located very well all spring. Went down to Fresno and threw well. It's great to have this kind of inventory because Zito goes down and he was available to bring up, and he's been throwing the ball great. It's a tough night. It's tough sledding out there, and he's doing a good job.
Bruce, thanks for the time. Best of luck the rest of the way.
All right, thanks, guys. We'll see you.
A base hit for Alfonso Soriano, and a ball that did a right turn as soon as it got over the infield cutout when it got up into the wind. Take a look at this again.
Well, and see, that's how you, as a player, you've got to know the elements. And I say that specifically about Marlon Byrd right there. When you see that ball hit, you know the way the wind's blowing, so you can have a better read. He gets caught around second base, not sure if he should go or stay, decides to stay, but you know, if he has in his mind, look, the ball gets up in the air, gets to the outfield, it's going to be blowing toward the right field line. Maybe he anticipates that and gets to third.
So the Cubs have runners at first and second with nobody out, and a chance now for the left-handed hitting Blake DeWitt. Well, Chicago had the bases loaded in the first. They had two runners aboard with only one away in the third. And this may be their best chance yet to finally scratch a run across against Ryan Vogelsong. In the air wide of third. DeRosa stays with it to make the catch. Boy, did that ball do some strange things in the air. Time for a direct TV game break. Let's send it back to Chris Rose and Mitch Williams in Los Angeles. All right, guys, thanks. Yeah, a good matchup out there between the Yankees and the Red Sox, with Josh Beckett throwing the ball so much better after his first couple of starts. Coy Hill pokes a ground ball to second. Sanchez to Tejada, back to Huff, and again the Cubs get runners aboard but fail to score. Still 3-0 Giants. Boy, you picked a bad night to sit on one of the rooftops around Wrigleyville today. Unfortunately for those folks, some of whom maybe made these plans months earlier, it's just not the right day to be out there.
And a cold beer. My
yeah,
goodness.
Won't be denied. 3-0 San Francisco. Doug Davis back to work. And here in the top half of the fifth, they'll get Freddie Sanchez, Aubrey Huff, and Buster Posey for the Giants. Rolled out to third as Blake DeWitt has it. It's another ball that perhaps got a little away from him on the throw, and there's one away. The weather has been a story not only in the stands but on the field today. The 2 unearned runs in the third, a number of misplays and tough moments on batted balls tonight so far. Here's Aubrey Huff now with 1 gone. You had made an interesting point when we were talking about this weather story earlier today, Eric, from your year as a Cub. And it was that, so the Giants come in here for a 3-game weekend series, and it's tough sledding, to quote Bruce Bochy. But the Cubs have to deal with this all year. The weather doesn't stay like this all year, but the circumstances, the smaller conditions, the older ballpark, that's here all year.
Yeah, it's a lot of things that the Cubs, they can't control, but it's something that they've got to battle with in their quest to win. And one of the things, obviously, the weather. You get the cold, you get the wet, and they don't have the facilities to help them combat the weather. And what I mean by that, you got the batting cages, you know. I should say batting cage. It's out in right field. It's not like you can go hit in the tunnel. There it is behind that Under Armour sign. You can't get to it other than walking across the field.
Swing and a miss by Aubrey Huff.
I mean, this is the batting cage at the big league level, and this thing is 100 times better than it used to be. It's very small. It's one cage. You're right on top of one another. Here the Giants are in there right now. As you look at this footage, but the point is, so you're sitting on the bench and you're going to have to pinch hit today. Where are you going to go get loose? You're not. And that's just something they deal with all year long. Cubs have some tough sledding. They're down 3-0. And it's not looking good right now with the weather.
presented by Lowe's. Let's build something together. Like a roof. Or a greenhouse.
How about a dome? Where's the retractable roof when you need it?
3-0 San Francisco, bottom half of the 5th. And the Cubs will send a pinch hitter to the plate in the pitcher's spot. Doug Davis gone after 5. And given all the things Doug was dealing with, his debut with the Cubs, coming back on short rest from a AAA assignment 4 days ago. Owen, by the way, first big league outing after elbow surgery, rained, wind. He threw the ball well.
It really did. I thought he did a nice job. The Cubs have to be happy with what they saw. You know, outside of a few miscues, I mean, he threw well. See Jeff Shamarged up. Spit that out one more time.
Jeff Samardzija up in the bullpen for Chicago. He'll go to work on the mound next half inning, and it's Reed Johnson pinch hitting to start things in the home 5th. Johnson, Fukudome, and Barney against Ryan Vogelsong, who's been in and out of trouble all evening. Been the beneficiary of a couple of double play balls, and has kept the Cubs off the scoreboard tonight. One and 2 to Reed Johnson. Vogelsong has struck out 5 tonight. All 6 of the Cub hits are singles so far. And the 1-2 home. Well, yesterday here at Wrigley Field, Reed Johnson had a big afternoon. Second inning, Cubs down a run. Mike Fontenot deep fly ball to right. Johnson makes a great catch up against the ivy. And then in the 7th, with 2 gone and the Cubs leading by 3, breaks the game open with a 3-run triple against Guillermo Mota. Added an RBI single in the 8th, a 4 RBI afternoon for Reed Johnson yesterday, which matched his total for the season. Two balls and 2 strikes to him.
I mean, how about walking in today, we ran into Mike Fontenot, hit that ball that Reed Johnson made such an exceptional play on. You know, a few feet to the left, it's a home run. A few more further feet to the right, it's off the ivy, you know. Instead, you get nothing. You get a nice 0 for 1 right there. Reed Johnson making a heck of a play.
2 balls and 2 strikes, the count to Johnson. The fists, and that's sent out to shortstop for Tejada and 1 away. Here is tonight's Jeep game summary, and the wind is the first thing on the summary. That's Cubs owner Tom Ricketts, it looks like he's helping wipe down seats on this blustery evening here in Wrigleyville. Ryan Vogelsong has thrown the ball well. 3 errors committed by the Cubs, leading to a couple of unearned runs. Your Jeep game summary here in the 5th.
That's love there, Matty. That is love.
You know, back to what you were talking about earlier as Kosuke Fukudome digs in, the fact that nobody's going to deny that Wrigley Field is really one of the most beautiful ballparks still, in addition to all of its historical significance in all of baseball, and one of the greatest sports venues in the world. But the Cubs are limited with what they can do here. And you walked us through the batting cages there. And for fans that aren't aware of the difference, new ballparks that are built, some of them have batting cages on both sides. Some of them have the ability to allow 3-4 guys at a time to take batting practice. And it's, you know, it's just something that can't happen here because of how you're buttoned into this little neighborhood.
Right, and the argument is, well, both teams have the same conditions, but as you mentioned earlier, the Cubs are playing 81 games here. You know, you can deal with it if you're coming in for a series of 3 or 4 games. But over the course of a season, it adds up. And we haven't even got into the start times the Cubs have to deal with. You know, you've got a night game tonight, a day game tomorrow. You got you know, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series, normally for Chicago, you'll have 3 different start times. You couple that with a Thursday night game somewhere else, I mean, it just wreaks havoc for you. It makes it much more difficult for the Chicago Cubs than any other ball club.
Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Kosuke Fukudome. Well, you got the owner of the team, Tom Ricketts, who is, we said earlier, it looked like he was wiping down seats. He's helping wrap up fans, too, huh?
That's something.
Get the boss out there. Vogelsong tried again on a full count pitch to Fukudome. And this one's put in play to the opposite field. Burrell, in all kinds of movement out there, makes the catch.
Well, remember, he told Boch, he said, you watch me play today, you're going to have me out there all the time. Some dance moves out there, but that's really, we joke about it, but the fact that he's able to make that play in these conditions with the wind the way it is, maintaining his footing, and keeping his eye on the ball with the rain coming down, it's actually a real nice play.
2 gone, bases empty now for Darwin Barney. You know, it was suggested earlier tonight with the weather being as it is that this is these are the baseball gods' way of telling the league, hey, no night games at Wrigley Field. Remember how much rancor there was in the community when lights were installed here in 1988. And as we mentioned when we started the telecast, there are not a lot of nighttime games on the weekends here. There was a city ordinance that was enacted in 1988 when they put the lights up that prohibits Friday and Saturday nighttime starts, except in the case of a nationally televised game such as tonight's. And the reason behind that was to relieve congestion in the neighborhood. There's a school of thought that says that since there are now parking zone stickers that folks use in Wrigleyville, that maybe it wouldn't be such a problem, and that perhaps they should revisit the idea of Friday and Saturday night games here a little more often. Barney sends a ground ball to Tejada, who juggles and can't get a throw across the diamond. We'll see how that ball scored. And they're going to put an error on Tejada immediately, E6.
Well, you see where he fields it. It's over where they had thrown some extra dirt. The area is a bit slippery. It's not as concrete. And he's just never able to get the handle on it.
Well, Tejada having a tough night. And now Starlin Castro. Castro's 2 for 2 so far this evening. And he takes a strike. Off to a 5 for 7 start to the series. Vogelsong out of the stretch, and Castro has another base hit. Back-to-back 3-hit games to start the series. Tomorrow, NASCAR on Fox is in Dover, where Kyle Busch will try to defend his title and take home his 3rd checkered flag of the year. Coverage of the FedEx 400 benefiting Autism Speaks begins tomorrow with the pre-race show delivered by Pizza Hut at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific in high definition here on Fox. Carl Edwards kung fu fighting his way to the top of the Sprint Cup standings. 378 points, leading Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, and Dale Jr. at 331. That's tomorrow on Fox, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. Sprint Cup racing from Dover.
Well, another opportunity for the Cubs. At bat with runners in scoring position. So far, 0 for 5 today. 2 of those times hit into double plays.
Carlos Pena guilty of one of those double play balls. He has walked and grounded into an inning-ending 6-3 double play that came in the third. You know, you hate to hang it on one or two guys, but it has been the middle of the lineup that's been guilty. 0-1 to Pena.
I mean, you're not hanging it on the reality is that Carlos Pena and Alfonso Soriano have not hit well with runners in scoring position. Now, is that going to continue the whole year? No. I mean, the numbers right now, you know, are skewed because we're at a small sample size. Still got 4.5 months to go. And just as much as they've struggled now, there'll be periods where it'll seem like they get up every time with guys on and they're driving them in. But it has not been pretty up to this point.
One ball and 1 strike that counts to Carlos Pena.
The thing, too, as a hitter, you recognize that. And as a guy that's responsible for creating runs, you're up there and you go, all right, this will be the time. I'm going to drive them in. And that just adds to it.
You see how the Giants are not really in an exaggerated shift against Pena, as so much of the American League East used to play him in his days with the Tampa Bay Rays. Carlos behind now 1-2. I guess you could call this a modified shift. See Freddie Sanchez pulled around closer to the first base side. And Tejada behind the runner at shortstop. Marlon Byrd waiting next. Still 1-2 to Carlos Pena. Neither team with a lot of success tonight in hitting with runners in scoring position, combined just 1 for 13. And the lone hit came early. That was Buster Posey's RBI single in the first. There's Vogelsong out of the stretch once again. He strikes out Pena to strand 2 more. 5 shutout innings by Ryan Vogelsong. It's still 3-0 San Francisco. By Lowe's is sponsored by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball across the country, and by Pradaxa. Well, back with Eric Karros, Matt Vasgersian, 3-0 San Francisco, top half of the 6th. Ryan Vogelsong has been in and out of trouble early today and still working with his shutout in check. Cubs, meanwhile, have gone to a new pitcher on the mound as right-hander Jeff Samardzija has taken over for the lefty Doug Davis, done after 5. Samardzija making his 15th appearance of the year. Good numbers for Jeff.
Been decent, but he's been a bit erratic too. Has a number of walks.
He'll go to work on Cody Ross to start things in inning number 6. Ross, Burrell, and DeRosa. That's a bad seat tonight. Being out in those uncovered bullpens, right? The dugout, at least you got a roof over your head.
Well, you notice that nobody down in that San Francisco bullpen. That's just, there you go. Those are the smart guys. You got 2.
Gotta believe the bullpen catcher wears it the worst on a night like tonight. Hey, let's check in with Chris Rose and Mitch Williams in Los Angeles for a DirecTV game break. That's Mitch. That's Mitch forecasting the weather. Heavy stuff's not scheduled to come down for quite a while, Mitch.
Those guys are back in the studio. Lord knows they're going to be ordering big dinners. Both those guys can eat. Mitch making a double XL shirt look like a small.
Pat Burrell with the 2-0 count and a runner at first. By the way, the walk by Jeff Samardzija to Cody Ross leading off the inning. The 20th walk he's issued, and to your earlier point, Eric, the occasionally erratic stylings of the former Notre Dame wideout. That walk total leads all big league relievers.
Yeah, that's not a total you want to lead in. And again, he's got excellent stuff, good movement. He just can't be consistent around the plate yet.
Burrell takes a fastball for a strike to run the count even at 2-2 now. Doug Davis went 5. And of the 3 runs that crossed on his watch, 2 of them were unearned.
How's Pat Burrell liking this? So he hasn't played in 4 games. Go out and get yourself a start tonight. Go grab some rain, some cold weather. Have to face Samardzija, who's not fun to hit again if you're a right-handed hitter. Movement, good arm.
There goes Ross, and Burrell lines it into left. Cody can get no farther than second base as he threw on the brakes, which made him look like he was on roller skates out there on this wet, cold night. Tough conditions indeed, and they have played a role all evening long, Eric.
Well, the ball a bit wet here. Coyhill unable to get a good grip. Here, Blake DeWitt, he has trouble transferring the ball. And that's really been scoring opportunities for the Giants.
See, fly balls have been really interesting, too. Mark DeRosa running a little hitch route here, taking it back to his football days at the University of Pennsylvania when he was a quarterback. Anything in the air has moved. Stuff on the ground it's skidded.
Well, the thing is, too, you also have to remember, when you're a fielder, you're standing out there, and it's just cold. You've got to stay loose. You've got to stay able to react.
So runners at first and second now. And that'll bring in Mark DeRosa with Ross and Burrell aboard and nobody out. Got a pinch runner at first. It's Nate Shearholz who's running for Pat Burrell.
Well, a better base runner, speedier, but then also defensively very athletic.
One ball and one strike. Pretty good chance that Shearholz stays in the ball game out there after pinch running for Burrell. You got the left-handed starter out now, and Bruce Bochy can perhaps tighten things up defensively with the 3-0 lead. His bullpen has been terrific, and yesterday's hiccup certainly not one of their finer hours. But for the most part, the Giants bullpen has been every bit as good this year as it was in the postseason of 2010. Full count now, 3-2 to Mark DeRosa. In fact, yesterday with the rare bullpen trouble, check the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes on DeRosa now. Giants relief ERA raised by a full point. That's on the ground to third. DeWitt to Barney. The relay not in time to double off DeRosa. A reminder to visit your local Lowe's to cast your Scott's MLB All-Star ballot and enter to win a chance for a VIP All-Star Week experience, compliments of Scott's. I think it's going to be a little warmer in Phoenix for the All-Star game. So one gone with runners at the corners now for Miguel Tejada. Tejada, a 6-time All-Star, trying to snap out of an 0 for 10 at the plate. Samardzija out of the stretch again, and he'll keep an eye on Mark DeRosa at first. The Giants don't run a lot. 22 stolen bases as a team, and that puts them around the middle of the pack in Major League Baseball. Neither one of these teams do a lot of running.
I'd be shocked if either one of these managers put any of their players in a position to steal right now. Last thing you want to do with the turf being slippery is risk injury. In these type of games, you obviously want to win, but you also want to get out of them unscathed. It's 1 of 162.
Ball and 2 strikes to Miguel Tejada now. Just a 161 batting average with runners in scoring position. We have talked about that a lot in regards to not just 1 or 2 players, but on both scorecards tonight, both sides of the scorecard, that is. Two balls and 2 strikes. Cincinnati Reds winners today at home. They beat the Cardinals to get back on top in the National League Central. Playing within the division has been particularly tough on the Cubs. Tejada loses his pad. The mad scrum ensues to get the souvenir. That one just simply slipped right out of Miguel's hands.
See, he just loses that thing and heading into the stands. I went down some stairs. And that's a problem. You use pine tar in these sort of conditions. It just gets wet. It almost becomes slicker.
Miguel went right back to the bat rack to get a new one. They didn't bother fishing the bat out of the stands.
Yeah, wasn't going for the give you an autographed piece of paper for the bat. Give it bat. Like, look, that bat's hitting 200. Let's get it out of here.
Chases a fastball to swing and miss. Hey, Saturday, May 28th, one of the greatest sporting events in the world comes to Fox as Leo Messi and Barcelona battle Wayne Rooney and Manchester United at historic Wembley Stadium. Don't miss two of soccer's greatest teams collide in the UEFA Championship Champions League Final. Saturday, May 28th, 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific in high definition on Fox. So with 2 away, runner still at the corners. Here's Ryan Vogelsong again, making his 3rd plate appearance of the night. And as we've already documented and seen, the guy who can handle the bat okay.
Well, you can't approach him as you would with a lot of pitchers where, look, I just throw it down the middle and let him swing through it. Vogelsong's had some great cuts. Samardzija has to be careful with him.
Chopper to third, and DeWitt goes the short way to keep the Giants off the scoreboard in the 6th. Rain Wizard has been busy tonight in Chicago. Well, as we guess, Nate Schierholtz continues for the Giants defensively. Schierholtz takes over in right field. And that's going to move Cody Ross across to left. So them's the changes behind Ryan Vogelsong as the Giants continue with their 3-0 lead. Marlon Byrd leads things off in the home 6th. It'll be Byrd, Soriano, and DeWitt. Bruce Bochy told us before the game he made the calculated mistake of walking to the ballpark from the team hotel this morning and didn't realize it was raining as hard as it was until he got about halfway here.
Yeah, that's when you get out to no man's land. You just continue your quest. That's the thing about this place. Weather can change in just a matter of minutes. Another beer. Are you kidding me with another beer?
There's still like a college football atmosphere here, despite the fact that it's nasty out. Cub fans have their fun.
Yes, they do.
Marlon Byrd to lead things off in the 6th. The Byrd, Soriano, and DeWitt once again. And again, every Cub hit tonight has been a single. There have been 6 of them.
Well, the kicker is 4 of the 5 innings, the Cubs have had opportunities to score. They've put runners in scoring position, but there's been the story up to this point this year. They just can't cash in.
Byrd has 1 of the base hits, and it's extended his hitting streak to 15. That ties a career high for him. It's been a start to the season that's been marked as much by hitting streaks with the likes of Jacoby Ellsbury and Andre Ethier as it has by notable pitching performances. Byrd taps out and foul. Jair Jurgens earlier today, I guess you could say, flirting with a perfect game, taking it into the 6th inning.
I like the pitching this year. I like the games when they're lower scoring, when the game hinges on every play in the field or each pitch. I'm not a big fan of those games where it's just who's ever up last wins. You know, it's a slugfest.
There have been 28 no-hitters this year taken into the 6th inning. 28. Just continuing last year's theme of the year of the pitcher. Byrd sends a fly ball out to shallow left center field. And Aaron Rowan stays with the tricky trajectory to make the play. Hey, Fox Sports is proud to support Stand Up to Cancer. This week, our own Ken Rosenthal is wearing the Stand Up to Cancer bow tie to help raise awareness and money that'll bring new treatments to patients. For more information and to purchase a bow tie like Ken's, they do come in adult sizes as well, please visit standuptocancer.org/Fox Sports.
You are rough.
I can do that because I, too, am vertically challenged. Here's Alfonso Soriano, who takes a breaking ball for a strike. With Eric Karros, Matt Vasgersian here at Wrigley Field, trying to stay dry. A tough night on the field. We've seen 5 errors in this ball game tonight, Eric, and that's tied the high number for a big league game this year. It certainly played a role on the scoreboard as well.
Well, no question. If you're the Cubs, you've got to be frustrated to this point right now, because defensively, you've given the Giants some opportunities, and on the flip side, offensively, you haven't taken advantage of the opportunities you've had. As I mentioned, 4 out of the 5 innings up to this point, they've had runners in scoring position. The Cubs have, unable to cash in.
0-2 the count to Alfonso Soriano. And a wave and a miss. We talk about the year of the pitcher, 2010, paying homage, of course, to 1968, the first year referred as such. But last year, with the no-hitters, with the low-scoring games, the offensive-minded nature of baseball really took a hit. Home runs per game came down, batting average and ERAs as a result came down as well, even from the previous season, but a market change from the early part of the decade.
Well, I think just a shift in the emphasis of general managers and how they construct ball clubs. I mean, you just look at the way this Giant ball club was constructed last year. Pitching, 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 and then go out and add pieces, whether it's the middle of the season, late in the year. Brian Sabian doing an excellent job. But again, focus on the pitching.
last 2 seasons, 8 no-hitters, including Roy Halladay's postseason gem last year. And for the 10-year period beginning in 2000, there were 15 no-hitters. And again, already 8 in the last 2. Justin Verlander, Francisco Liriano coming within a handful of days of one another this month. Ball and 2 strikes now to Blake DeWitt.
Vogelsong doing a nice job, a great line. The one walk and able to make pitches when he was in trouble. Induced 2 double plays. And runners in scoring position. Again, it hasn't been pretty, but it's been very effective.
Well, this coming off the heels of a great start Sunday against the Rockies, one in which he too was among those to flirt with a no-hitter. He was perfect through 5. Ended up allowing a hit and a walk over 6 1/3. A base hit for Blake DeWitt.
The pitching coach, Dave Righetti, has done an outstanding job. Doesn't get a lot of the accolades.
Now that the entire Giants staff is a good one, and I think, you know, in this defending World Series championship year, there's been a lot of discussion about the staff, more so than in years past for the Giants. Bruce Bochy is always very quick to defer credit. There's Coy Hill now with a 2-out base runner aboard. And though the Giants bench coach Ron Wotus has had his name bounced around a lot in terms of perhaps the next managerial candidate that's out there. And there's Ron on the left side of your screen. I guess if there's a pattern that Ron Wotus could follow, it's that of Mike Quaddy, who'd spent a number of years managing in the minors and a number of years on a big league coaching staff in Oakland, in Chicago, before finally getting his chance. One to Coy Hill is slapped to third base for DeRosa. And a throw in the dirt, picked nicely by Aubrey Huff. Another scoreless inning tossed by Ryan Vogelsong. Still 3-0 Giants. Will return after a word from your local Fox station. Welcome back to Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Lowe's. Let's build something together. The first of 3 straight Saturdays in prime time. Back with Eric Karros, Matt Vasgersian, 3-0 San Francisco. The Cubs have managed 7 hits, all of them singles, but have been held off the scoreboard. 5 errors combined tonight. Mother Nature has played a hand in that number. As you can see, it has been wet and windy all night so far. Jeff Samardzija continues here, as the Giants will send Aaron Rowan to the plate to start the top half of the 7th. Rowan, Sanchez, and Huff for San Francisco. We talked to Bruce Bochy earlier today about the, I guess you could call it the pleasant problem, the glut of outfielders that he has to try to get playing time for. And I suppose you could expand the conversation to talk about corner infield as well. He's got a lot of versatile parts, and his challenge has been to try to keep everybody sharp.
Well, not only keep everybody sharp, but keep everybody happy. Because as a player, the last thing you want to do is platoon, not get an everyday job. Well, I think they've made that executive call here.
Wow.
That pretty much sums it up.
The grounds crews. I don't. Is it raining harder now than it was 2 innings ago? I guess the difference is they've got 6 complete in the books.
Well, and the other issue, they've continued to put that diamond dry, the dirt, every inning. In between innings, they're dumping the field with this diamond dirt, and you see the water is just soaking it up too. It's wet out there, and you got to take into account the player's safety.
Hardest working men in show business, the big league grounds crew doing their thing, rolling out the tarp. Just pitches into the top of the 7th inning. Crew chief Jerry Davis said, let's cover it up.
No, you're not lying about the hardest working crew. You're talking about Chicago and Boston. It doesn't get any tougher than those 2 places.
Well, officially this is a rain delay, and I'm sure the crew is now consulting the radar and looking at what else Mother Nature has in store for Chicago tonight. So for bonus coverage of the Red Sox and Yankees, we're going to send you to Joe Buck and Tim McCarver. Bonus coverage.